Hey, this is MJ, and in today's tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to make our Snuggle Season headband. This is a cozy, textured headband that features puff stitches and post stitches. It's super quick and easy to make, and the pattern includes baby to large adult size. The yarn that I'm using for this pattern is Brava Tweed worsted weight yarn from We Crochet. And I will be using one of their dots hooks as well, and I will be working with the 5mm size. So I'm going to be showing you how to make our adult size today. And as you can see, we're just making a large rectangle. The stitch pattern is worked this way, so we'll be working rows to get the length that we need. Now, if you head over to the blog, you can follow along with the written directions or purchase the downloadable PDF and follow along with the size that you're working on for the width that you need as well as the rows you'll need. So we're going to start with a slip knot. We'll put that on our hook. And I will be chaining 22 for our adult size. Okay, so this starting chain is going to be the width. Now we're going to work in the second chain from the hook, but I'm going to turn my work and see the back leg here of the chain. We're going to be working into that. Now, if you prefer just work in the back loop of the chain, that is fine as well. I know that sometimes this can be a little tricky to get into that loop. So if you're a beginner and you want to work just through the back loop, you can go ahead and do that too. This just gives your edge you're going to see the stitches of that chain by doing this. So we're working across single crochets to get us started. Depending on how tightly you've made your chain stitches will sometimes determine how easy it is to get into that back leg as well. So you should have 21 stitches when you work across. I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera, and then I will meet you up for the next step. So we'll chain one and turn. And now for our next row, I'm going to work across in half double crochets. So I'll refer to this as row 1, and the first row, our foundation row. So just half double crochets in every stitch across. And count to make sure that you do have 21 stitches for this size. So I'll chain one and turn. And now we're going to start establishing our post stitches. So we're going to start with a half double crochet in the first stitch. And I'm going to yarn over, and around the next post, we're going to work a front post double crochet. So here is our first stitch. Here is the second stitch. We're going to take our hook, pushing it down, going to the back, and then back up to the front. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And then in the next stitch, we'll work a half double crochet. Yarn over, and then in the next stitch we'll work another front post double crochet. So we're going to be alternating between a half double and a front post. So here is our stitch for our half double, and the next stitch we'll work another front post double. So we're going to go around the post and complete that front post. Half double, front post double, and continue to alternate between these stitches across. And now if you've done everything correctly, you should be ending with a half double crochet in the last stitch. Going to chain one and turn. So now the post stitches are established, so this row is a little bit easier because of that. We're going to start with a half double crochet in the first stitch. Then we're going to work a back post double crochet. Okay, so we're going around that post that we established on the last row. So it bumps up and it makes it easier to work this stitch now. So I'm going to yarn over to do a back post. I like to kind of turn my work, or you can feel with your fingers to find that raised post. And then we're going around it. Okay, so we have the post here now on our hook. You're going to pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through two, yarn over, pull through two. Now in the next stitch, rather than doing a half double crochet, we're going to bring in those puff stitches. So we're going to work a puff stitch, and that is going between these posts from the previous row. So in the half double of the last row. So you're going to yarn over, go through the stitch, pulling up a loop, yarn over, go back through the same stitch, pull up a loop. I like to give them a little tug. Make sure all of those loops are, if you hold your hook like this, you want the loops to all be even. You don't want your hook coming down like this, or it's going to be really hard to pull through them all. Yarn over, go back through again. You should have 7 loops on your hook. You can count them to make sure. Then we're going to yarn over, pulling through all the loops, and chain one. The chain one is securing it now. Then we're going to do a back post in the next stitch, which is that front post from the last row. And the next stitch, we will work a half double crochet. The next, we're always getting those posts. So we're doing a back post double crochet. And then we're doing a puff again. So we're alternating between the posts, doing a half double and a puff. So when you do the puff, this will be the wrong side of the work. The puff then pops through to the right side. So another puff stitch, we're going to yarn over, go through the stitch, pulling up a loop, yarn over, going back through the same stitch, pulling up a loop, yarn over, back through the third time, pulling up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 7 loops, and chain one. Back post double crochet. This time we do a half double crochet between the posts, back post double crochet, and then we're doing another puff stitch. So go yarn over, go through, pulling up a loop, yarn over, go through, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through the third time, pulling up a loop, yarn over. Okay, so I'm just going to finish working that across, and then I'll meet you up at the end for the next step. Okay, so I'm finishing up. I've worked the back post, and we're ending with a half double in the last stitch, chain one and turn. Now for this row, we're going to work a half double crochet in the first, front post double crochet in the next, and then a half double crochet in the puff from our previous row. So we are just alternating again between our front post double crochet and our half double crochet. So the puff stitches will only be worked on that wrong side. When you're on the right side, you're going to do half double crochets in every stitch between the post stitches. And then when you're on the wrong side, you add in the puff stitches every other space. Okay, so it's a really simple, easy repeat once you get going at it. And then we just keep alternating those rows between our right side row, which is half double crochet, and front post double crochet. Okay, so I finished with a half double. We'll chain one and turn. And I'll work through this once more with you, and then I'm going to leave you on your own to complete your rows. So we're going to do a half double in the first, back post double crochet in the next, and then you do a puff. And I can always tell that I've worked a puff in this space, so if you're trying to keep track as you go, you can always kind of look down and see, okay, I'm to the puff. You want the puffs to go above each other. So work the puff, chain one, then a back post, then a half double, back post, double crochet, and then another puff. Okay, so I'm going to work that across. So I have 26 puff stitches and 54 rows, but now I do want to mention that between two of the colors I worked up, I actually did 2 more rows for this color because it worked up a little bit smaller. So we're going to measure it because you may be better off going by the measurement than the actual stitch count. So it is about 19 and a half. Now it's going to be a little bit longer than that when we add our last 2 rows, but if at this point you want to measure and see, it looks almost about 19 here, depending on where you measure it, about 19 and a half, 19 to 19 and a half. So for a 22-inch head size, you are going to be going to close to that measurement. So by the time we add our last 2 rows, it's going to be closer to probably the 20-inch mark. So let's finish this off. This is an easy way, especially if you're subbing yarn using whatever worsted weight yarn you have. Going by measurements is a good indicator. I also found this color, I think, was a little bit wider too. So it's 5.5 inches, and this color was about 5 inches. So you can see where you're going to get a little bit of variance between colors, and that is quite common that some colors will work up a bit heavier than others. The fact that this one's a little bit wider, that doesn't bother me at all. That's going to be completely fine, whether it's 5 or 5.5, but you do want to get pretty close with your length because you do want it to properly fit your head. Now, if you have a 23-inch head size, then you are going to want to go a little bit bigger. If your head's a bit smaller, you're going to want to go a little bit less, but you can always take the headband, put it around your head, make sure it will fit, and adjust. If it's seeming like it's going to be loose, you don't want the headband too loose. You might want to pull back a row or 2. I just want you to end on the right side of your work rather than the wrong side. So end on the right side, so your half double crochet front post row. Now what we're going to do is finish it off with 2 rows of single crochet. So I'm going to chain 1 and turn, and I'm going to work back across in every stitch single crochets. So we'll chain 1 and turn, and we're going to finish with a single crochet across the final row. We want to end on our right side. And then once you get this finished, if it's for yourself, you can try it on, or if the person you're making it's for, just wrap it around their head, just make sure it's going to fit. It's so easy to add a couple rows or pull a couple rows out if you need to. And once I get this row worked, we'll give it a measure again for its final measurement. So we'll fasten this off, leave a nice long tail for sewing, and I will get this measured. So I would say it's about 19.75. Okay, close to 20 maybe in some areas, but if we just go here, it's at 19.75. So let's go with that. And this one has about 5.5. Now I really feel like overall the pink worked up bigger than most of the other colors, but if you take your measurements, that's, like I say, the most accurate way to go for sizing. Make sure you're on track with the measurements, and then we can move on to the next step. So we're going to keep the stitch pattern facing us, so the right side is up. We're then going to take the side that has the tail. I want you to place the tail, that starting tail, in the center of this side. So you're then having your two pieces. The tail is going to be right in the center here. Then you're taking the other half and folding it around. Okay, so you just want to make sure that it's folded evenly. Okay, you're going to pull your tail up. Then you're going to wrap the other side this way. So you're basically taking the ends, folding them, smushing them together, sandwiching them together. The reason I want this long tail to this side is because I'm going to add my yarn needle, and this tail to the center is because as we work across, we can then knot it. So if you fold it this way, it just makes things a little bit easier. So get your pieces together like this. I'm going to grab my yarn needle and get it attached to my tail. Okay, so I have my yarn needle. I have my 4 layers, so this tail to the inside. We're now going to go through, make sure that you're getting all through all the sections. So don't miss this little one in the center. And then I'm going to go back to the start. I'm going to go through again just to make sure the end is nice and good. Then we're going to go through all 4 layers, seaming this together. Okay, so then I'm just going to take my tails and give them a good knot. And then we can just weave these tails back through. You can always trim, just trim it, but this gives that extra layer of security to weave in so you don't have a cut close to the knot. So I'm just going to go ahead and weave this back, and then you can just trim your tails. All you're going to do is fold the headband now out. And you get this beautiful twist in the front. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and tap the bell so you don't miss any of my new videos and tutorials. Make sure to check the description box below the video for the links for the yarn, the pattern on the blog, and also the PDF digital download. Thanks so much, guys. Have an awesome day.